Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And it's Wednesday. You know what that means. Yes, Dynamite is on tonight. I keep on stealing AEW's catchphrase. This is Going in Raw. It's the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. And Wednesdays are Ask Going in Raw. We use exclusively your questions. That's right. The patrons at patreon.com/Steven Larson. And the people who click the join on the YouTube for the channel memberships, we use your questions to drive the show on Wednesdays.
Yes.
It's Ask Going in Raw.
You're in the driver's seat.
Steven Larson. Driver's seat.
We're merely passengers. Yeah.
We are mere passengers like Bryan Danielson's arm on his body.
I didn't want to say it, but yeah, kind of. All right, first question. You ready for first question?
First question.
With AEW in mind, Luis here asks, we're about... gosh, I just had some Fritos before we start.
What a mess of a show this is already.
Really is, but hey. Louis says we're about to be 4 years into AEW. What letter grade would you give the company so far, and what would you have changed in hindsight?
Oh boy, what letter grade would I give AEW 4 years into its inception?
How about this? Rather than lead with the letter grade, let's say what they've done well.
Yeah.
They haven't done well.
Yeah.
Things that lie in the middle, and maybe through the conversation.
Yeah.
Gosh darn it, we can land on a letter grade.
Okay. So, I mean, what they've done well, just from a business standpoint, they have established a major presence on cable television here in the States, where a lot more wrestlers can get paid. There is a viable alternative to the WWE's product in a big budget cable television way that we haven't seen till now. Yes, people could have gone and watched Impact, but it's relative to WWE. That's a fairly low budget affair. And then it only goes down from there. Yeah, you can check out, New Japan, but it's not exactly, New Japan really doesn't do what WWE does. Like, it's a different thing.
Their programming model is way different. Yes.
Right, exactly. Whereas AEW, they do something that is comparable to WWE, weekly wrestling storytelling. And from a business standpoint, they have, I would think, exceeded expectations. A lot of people figured, it's a t-shirt company, they're going to be out of business by now. No, they have a big money cable TV deal, probably another one on the horizon very, very shortly. WBD likes them so much, they gave them a Saturday spot. So from a business standpoint, probably an A+. And how about this? We break down each good thing and each bad thing, and we assess a grade for that.
That's good. All right. Next, let's talk creative storytelling medium. After all,
it is correct.
One last thing about the business aspect of it, and that's the financial fortunes of the company itself are good right now, seemingly.
Yeah.
The opposite side of that, from the wrestler's perspective, the business aspect is it gives wrestlers another place and go to make a good living.
Yeah.
Doing the professional wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been quite a while, where companies come along that can compete for talent with WWE in terms of handing out large contracts.
Yeah, right.
And AEW is the first company in quite a while that has the capability to do that. So from a wrestler's perspective, also, I would say, business-wise, a B+ or an A. Because,
absolutely.
All right, creative. So there was a stretch. Let's go back a little bit. Inception of the company. There's a lot of excitement. Some of the early creative endeavors, uneven, let's say.
Sure, yeah.
There was a stretch probably for a good portion of 2021 to maybe early 2022. Yeah, probably up until CM Punk and MJF's story.
Sure.
Where not exclusively awesome across the board, but it seemed like from a creative standpoint, the company really got their feet under them.
Yeah.
A lot of that I know was also bringing in some high profile names, but that was when we had the Kenny Hangman story, which is probably still the best story the company's told.
Yep.
There was a lot of good stuff in that period. Bit of dip in quality of creative through a good chunk of 2022, especially in the fall and winter. And thus far in 2023, there's been some good stuff. There's been some not so good stuff. I know, especially towards the end of 2022, with the brawl out situation, with injuries.
Yeah.
There was a lot of upheaval, I'm sure, behind the scenes creatively.
Yeah.
At the same time, since basically the inception of the company, the women's division has not gotten the spotlight it needs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And that is not something they have consistently put any energy into to rectifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Developing stories for more women on the roster, giving them more opportunities to showcase what they can do, giving them more than one match per show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'd say creative right now. And there's a lot of it. We could probably spend 20 minutes talking about the creative issues with AEW because there's a lot more.
Yeah, sure.
I think creative right now is probably about a C.
I'm close to that. I would probably give it like right now, I'd probably give it closer to a B minus because I think it does have a couple things that are going pretty well. The Blackpool Combat Club, the Eddie Kingston stuff, the Elite stuff. I mean, CM Punk's return is still kind of too early to tell, but there's been some fun stuff there. And honestly, like it's a subjective thing, but I also sort of gauge like the general, like number one audience reaction to stuff. AEW audiences are still really hot. It's not like the dejected WWE audiences from, a couple of years ago when it was like, they're just sitting there and, they're antsy and stuff. Audiences in WWE are pretty hot right now because the product's pretty hot. AEW they've kept their audience in it for the most part.
So that's a good segue to, I think, what's the next thing we should talk about is the quality of the in-ring product.
Oh, that's an A.
Yeah, you can make an argument that AEW
good, yeah.
week in and week out offers the best
It does.
wrestling on television. You can make that argument easily.
It does. Every week. And that's one thing that I don't know if we take it for granted necessarily, but I think that it's possible that we take it for granted a little bit because too often we're like, oh man, really good match, and then let's move on to something else. But that shouldn't be understated. The wrestling is really good in AEW.
And I think that kind of goes with what you're saying about the crowd continually being invested. So even when there's kind of fallow creative periods,
yeah, right.
The in-ring product is good enough that it'll generally still get people excited about following the product.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So yeah, A for in-ring product. Let's talk about management. Here's a fun one.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah.
So we've criticized Tony Khan for not necessarily being the strongest leader.
Yeah.
I mean that goes way back to Big Swole's podcast where she was talking about her departure from AEW, talking about a lack of structure.
Yeah.
And how that really kind of hurt the company in a lot of respects. And, we still kind of see that. We still see a lot of people going out, talking to dirt sheets, spreading gossip, leaking stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, Brawl Out. That probably was a byproduct of Tony Khan not putting his foot down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And being a stronger leader.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've made some adjustments along the line in terms of helping the structure of the management. They've enhanced the talent relations product seemingly. They've brought in recently Will Washington. And hopefully with more structure in place, we'll see improvements in some of the areas where they obviously need improvements. Talking about creative, talking about especially leadership from Tony Khan, maybe a more structured corporate model will benefit them in the future.
Dude, I'll be honest with you. When it comes to management, yes, we've heard a lot of stuff. We've seen some stuff. I don't necessarily think I can give a grade on that because I'm not there. I don't. Yeah, we've heard plenty of things, right? And obviously, Brawl Out was a big embarrassment. This whole experiment of keeping everybody separate that don't like each other. That seems that doesn't seem all that well suited. On the other hand, there's plenty of people who have come out and said the locker room is fine. Things are cool backstage. It's not like there's a Sammy Guevara Andrade incident every week. Brawl Out seemed to be a unique situation that stems from personality conflicts that, yes, didn't seem to be managed all that well. On the other hand, look, I will grade in-ring product all day. I ain't a wrestler, but I'm a fan. And I think that's totally legit. I'll grade the creative because, again, I'm a fan. I know what I like. and I'll grade the numbers that I see when it comes to a business because they're public. Management, you make a good point, but I don't know that I can grade that because it's like, I'm not fucking there.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know
fair
what
enough.
I mean? But I think that's a good thing to bring up, you know?
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's one of those things where it's not like, hey, we could give the company a grade for this example management, but it can inform our overall final grade per chance.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I would say
because if anything else, the seemingly the perception, whether it's based on fact or not, the perception is at times there's been maybe an absence of strong leadership within the company, and that affects one's perception of the company. Yeah.
So all that being said, I find it difficult to give AEW anything less than a solid B because I think the positives. I think the negatives are things that really can and probably should be worked on, and whether or not they will or will not, I don't know. Creative, as we've seen in WWE, can turn around like that. You know, we saw that in WCW as well. Creative can turn around easily. I hope that they do focus in the future on the women's division more. I feel like there are, and I've said this before, certain demographics I feel like they should focus on as well.
Absolutely.
But all in all, like, it's a pretty damn successful company, and we're 4 years in. They seem to be making money, you know, or they're on the verge of a deal that might be making money hand over fist for them. Their pay-per-views always get like around 140,000 plus.
Yeah.
They've got Wembley, which just, you know, is at 75,000 tickets or something like that. Like across the board, there's a lot about AEW that you got to give them good grades for.
Absolutely.
I can't give them anything less than a solid B. I think a B is a pretty good place to be at because there's room for improvement there. But you know, I can't give it anything less than that.
I was thinking a B minus, but that's not too far removed from.
Yeah, sure.
B.
Yeah. There you go. Look at that. We did it.
Look at that. Close enough.
We're
pretty close. I got a question here from John Hosey. John here asked, Money in the Bank briefcase has lost a lot of its luster the past few years with cash-ins that don't really amount to anything. What can WWE do to bring some mystique back, or is it time to retire the concept altogether?
Oh, wow, man. You know what? Who did this question? This was John. This is John Hosey. Guess what, John? You get the thumbnail and the title. Should we retire Money in the Bank?
Wow.
That's a hell of a title right there, man. Controversy. Should they retire Money in the Bank? No. But has it been misused over the past 5 years or so? Yeah, absolutely. But again, creative, it can be jump started just like that. I'm really curious to see how they approach it. I feel like they've got a great opportunity this year with Damian Priest to inject some intrigue into an already popular act, Judgment Day, popular with the fans and popular with management, to inject some real intrigue with that storyline, with everything going on, Finn Balor and Damian Priest and what they have going on. I think that this is an opportunity to make Money in the Bank relevant again in a major way. But you look back on Money in the Bank in the past, last year, Austin Theory, complete disaster with Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
The year before that, was that Big E's year? The year before that, or was there one between Austin
Dude, don't
Theory?
ask me. My memory's not good.
The year Big E had it, we all love that Big E won it. We all love that he won the title, but it was not a compelling cash-in. He announced it on Twitter to pop a rating. They had him announce it on Twitter to pop a rating, and then he did it. It was a great moment for Big E, but it could have been an exceptional moment.
Yes, it could have been massive. Absolutely
for
massive.
Big E.
Absolutely.
2020, they did the fun thing because of pandemic, and that was wildly fun. But again, Otis wins it. You know, and then they give it to The Miz as a transitional champion for Bobby Lashley. Just lame. So there's the last 3 or 4 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just not good.
No. The
on the men's side.
The prestige, if you will, of Money in the Bank has been lost somewhat. Now, while you were answering the question, I was trying to wrap my head around an idea how it could be implemented. So there's been a lot of criticism levied against a lot of WWE's theme pay-per-views. Hell in a Cell, for example, where a feud should motivate Hell in a Cell. It shouldn't be just another event on the calendar.
Yeah.
Now, is there a way that they can implement Money in the Bank where it's not necessarily an annual scheduled thing, but with its storyline?
Yeah.
Whether it be Adam Pearce, who a champion is, whatever the case may be, but you're like, all right, given the circumstances in front of us, it's time for Money in the Bank.
Boy, that's a great idea. I don't like off the top of my head. I'm sure there are creative ideas where you can do that as a motivating factor, as a story motivation.
But like the idea of Money in the Bank is unpredictable enough with the cash ins, the opportunistic stuff, and whatnot. And if you make the very nature of scheduling Money in the Bank per year, I mean, you don't do it every year.
Yeah,
unpredictable as well, and motivated by story and not the premium live event calendar.
Yeah,
maybe that alone enough is something to kind of shake up the formula a little bit.
Oh yeah, McMahon shakeup. I like it.
That was terrible. We were there for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a cool idea. I do think that also, though, Money in the Bank has become kind of like their big five. And some people even refers to it as, a bigger deal than Survivor Series. And it's hard to disagree with that, given the magnitude of what it is. At its best, it's great. At its worst, it's a tragic misfire creatively. And there has been plenty of those misfires. So I don't know. I would definitely say don't retire. Yeah.
Here's another idea to kind of freshen things up. Have people defend the briefcase.
That's a great idea. I like that one. Yeah.
Granted, it's not a belt itself, but treat it like that. Where someone's in a feud who's holding the briefcase, and whoever's challenging them is like, all right,
yeah, put it up
the stakes, put your briefcase on the line.
Yeah.
That alone make it way more unpredictable.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to the Edge, Mr. Kennedy thing, where Edge tricked him into doing that. No, I think that'd be a great idea. I think there are more things you could do actively with Money in the Bank. I think for too many years, Vince McMahon treated it as not an interesting story beat, but something, again, to be sort of handed over based on his whims. Oh, I think Otis is funny right now. I think it'd be funny. And, given the madcap nature of the 2020 Money in the Bank cinematic, I can kind of feel it. I mean, that's why I predicted Otis in the first place, because it was like, oh, they're going to do this shit because it's supposed to be a comedy bit.
Yeah.
And then they just figure it out later. And then you're thinking to yourself, okay, how am I supposed to look at this guy the same way I looked at Rollins in 2014? I just don't, But no, I think that it is an incredibly clever gimmick that for once everybody else in the wrestling industry seemed to rip off, whether it was Lucha Underground with their Gift of the Gods, or Impact Wrestling with Option B or Option C, whatever it was.
Option C, and even AEW with their poker chip.
With the poker chip, yeah, exactly. Yeah. They teased that had that same thing. I think that it is you do not want to retire it. You simply get more creative with it.
Yeah, you keep the essence of what is Money in the Bank. You find ways to modify it to keep it fresh, keep it interesting. For sure.
I mean, you could do something like, hey, along with the draft comes Money in the Bank, because all these people are going to be switching brands, and you want to make that event even more unpredictable. So you do Money in the Bank along with whenever they do a draft, which I guess is the draft like, it's been annual, hasn't it? Have they skipped a year?
Kind of. They skipped last year, because it used to be in October, and they skipped it last year, and then just did it right after WrestleMania.
And they did it right after Mania, yeah.
I mean, at least they had Money in the Bank right after WrestleMania, so kind of it's a reset in a lot of ways in terms of title pictures and whatnot. It was not right after WrestleMania, it's a couple months after. Yeah. But at least that's the case. I mean, maybe even bump it up earlier if they're going to keep it its own show, which, seeing as it's in league with the major shows the company puts on, have it in May or something. Have it be the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania.
Yeah. That'd be cool. That'd be interesting. They did that they did that in 2020, didn't it? Wasn't it first thing after WrestleMania? Yeah.
It was pretty close after WrestleMania,
Yeah, right. Anyways, before we continue on with the next question, want to pay some bills, Larson?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's take a quick break here. Get a word from our sponsor, iHerb. Now that I'm getting up there in years, Steve, I'm getting old. It's become pretty obvious that I need to take better care of myself, which means making sure my body gets everything it needs to operate at peak performance. And when I'm looking for the best value in wellness products, I go to iHerb.
I think most of us have our favorite grocery stores to shop at, right?
Yeah.
Now with iHerb, you can have your go-to stop for all things health and wellness. I'm talking vitamins, supplements, snacks, spices, and a whole lot more. And for a limited time, new customers can get 22% off their entire order by going to iHerb.com and using promo code RAW.
I've brought this up to you, Steve, so you're aware of this. And maybe it's just a part of getting older. I don't know. But for some reason, My body doesn't like when I drink coffee anymore.
Man.
In fact, my body gets very, very angry with me when I drink coffee anytime. So I went to iHerb looking for something that will give me a little jump start to my day. And I wasn't exactly sure what I was looking for, but iHerb made the process a breeze because you could search by category or brand or customer ratings and price and even diet for those who are vegan or have food allergies. And I was able to navigate the numerous options effortlessly and decided on this matcha latte mix with lion's mane mushroom in it, Steve.
Nice. Wow.
And I had some this morning. I felt like it gave me a little pep in my step without bothering my tummy.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, shipping is free United States on orders over $20.
There you go. With over 24 million authentic reviews and 1.3 million 5-star ratings, iHerb has helped more than 11 million customers find the best products for them. It's time to get your health in check with iHerb. New customers get 22% off their first order when you use code RAW at iHerb.com.
That's 22% off your first order at IHERB.com, promo code RAW. Choose iHerb because wellness matters. Are you ready for next question, Steve?
Next question.
All right, this one comes from Heather Wright. Heather asks, so rumor has it there might be a big upset match at Money in the Bank on Saturday. Any thoughts on what that could be? Heather says, my money is on Finn beating Seth for the new world title belt.
I really want that to happen. So I'm like trying not to get my hopes up on that one. But let's examine the other matches on the card. So first, men's Money in the Bank. The biggest upset I could see there is Santos Escobar winning Money in the Bank. Don't see it happening, but you also have other participants. Ricochet, that'd be weird. Shinsuke Nakamura, don't see that happening. I don't think Logan Paul would be an upset, but maybe they would consider that an upset.
Maybe the upset isn't like an underdog winning; it's the fans' reaction to whoever wins.
People are actually upset.
People would be upset.
That could very well be the case because it's probably true. And then, of course, you got LA Knight and Damian Priest. Maybe somebody at WWE would consider Damian Priest an underdog.
No, they're the leaders, the front runners at this juncture.
Are they, according to the betting odds? I know, isn't LA Knight number one?
I believe LA Knight is ahead in the betting odds, yes.
Okay, all right. I don't know where Damian Priest is on that.
I would be shocked if he wasn't second, but I haven't checked of late.
Yeah, same. Well, I don't know. Logan Paul might be second. I don't know. I'll take a look at
possible.
That. Talk about the women's one.
Well, in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, I would think the favorite would probably be Io Sky, so her winning wouldn't necessarily be an upset.
Oh, I think the favorite's probably Becky, right? I mean, I'm just talking about betting odds.
Betting odds?
Now.
Oh, maybe. I was going to mention Becky. Neither Becky or Trish winning would be considered upsets, I wouldn't think.
Oh, no, you're right. No, listen, Io Sky is the favorite currently to win. Logan Paul is second for the men, but it's pretty close. Damian Priest is pretty close after that. And then it falls off a cliff. So it's LA Knight's the minus 200 favorite, and then Logan Paul's 125, and Damian Priest is just 150. And then it falls to Shinsuke 2000. So it is. Yeah, it falls off a cliff there.
Also in the women's match, Zelina Vega. She's the only one not involved in a story with other participants in the match.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
If you look at it from a storyline perspective, it makes sense for her to win since everybody else is kind of dealing with other storylines.
Yeah.
And that might be considered a bit of an upset. Bayley is a former Money in the Bank winner, a former champion. Her winning would not be an upset.
Now, when we talk about upsets, if, let's say, for example, that particular Twitter account was literally talking about Vegas odds, Zelina Vega is like a 2,000 point underdog.
Yeah.
So she's in there with like people who are not favorites to win. And the same with like Damian Priest and Logan Paul. They're not far off from LA Knight, but then you have Shinsuke, Ricochet, Santos, and Butch. They're all 2,000 plus.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even the Usos are favorites to beat. According to Vegas, they're favorites to beat Roman and Solo.
I guess the upset there would be someone pinning Roman as opposed to Solo.
That could be, yeah. I think, but along those lines, Seth is a 2,000 point favorite.
Wow.
That would be literally a giant upset.
That would be a huge upset.
If Finn Balor won. And I'll be honest with you.
I'm surprised the odds are that steep. I don't think it's that.
Yeah. WWE management loving Judgment Day as much as they do according to Fightful, and it just sort of being obvious. I don't, as much as I value Fightful, don't need that report to let me know that WWE management likes Judgment Day. They are everywhere.
They are. There was a couple of important caveats on the upset report from Better Wrestling Experience, and it was this upset would not be in the Cody match or the men's Money in the Bank match.
Oh, okay. So taking those
Dom
out,
Dom beating Cody would be an upset.
That would be an upset, yeah.
LA Knight or Damian Priest or Logan Paul not winning men's Money in the Bank would be an upset, but apparently neither of those matches will be affected by that. So you'd think that leaves the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. That leaves Finn and Seth. That leaves the women's tag title match, where I would guess Liv and Raquel would be the underdogs heading into that one. And then Gunther and Riddle.
So, yeah, either Riddle, maybe Zelina, or Finn. Yeah. So there you go.
I have a hard time believing Riddle's going to beat Gunther.
I don't even know. Is that even? Oh, I closed it out. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
I wouldn't think so.
Not gonna happen.
I wouldn't think so. Mayor Planet Houston has another Money in the Bank question. What outcomes from the matches at Money in the Bank would create the best stories going forward?
What outcomes from matches at Money in the Bank?
Priest winning the men's Money in the Bank ladder match would probably lead to the most interesting stories.
1,000%. Yeah.
But that, whether Finn beats Seth or not, although Finn winning would be the more interesting story as opposed to Seth winning. But if they have Seth win and then Priest kind of teases a cash in or tries to cash in, and Finn's like, "What are you doing?"
I think you're absolutely right. I think, and this is not what I would prefer. I prefer Finn to win that title just because I want to see Finn win that title.
Yep.
But Finn losing and Priest winning is still very intriguing.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
It is.
For a couple of reasons. Other outcomes, I think Dom beating Cody because of Brock Lesnar makes things interesting. I think it helps Dom. I don't think it does much to hurt Cody, so I think that would probably be a lot more intrigue. Look, what do you see as more possible? Cody just beating Dom clean with nothing going on the outside, no distractions, no nothing, or Brock getting involved regardless of the upset, regardless of the outcome. He's probably going to get involved, right?
Maybe. I guess the only question is, if he's getting involved, will it be during the match, cost Cody the match, or does Cody win? He's like, yes, adrenaline in my soul. Then he eats an F5.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that might be too, they like to load up these premium live events with, hey, you know what? Maybe they'll do the thing where Cody wins, but then Brock comes in afterwards.
Yeah.
And beats up on Cody and maybe gets a good reaction if he F5s Dom in the process as well. That could be a fun situation. So I kind of expect Brock to be there. Otherwise, where's the drama,
Yeah, exactly. As far as the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, perhaps the most interesting story. Like Becky and Trish are going to continue their feud regardless.
Yeah, right.
It's probably either Io or Bayley winning the briefcase.
Yeah, largely, it's such a shame because Damage Control is so cold right now. And part of it is because, on Friday, they were supposed to have that match between Bayley and Shotzi, and they didn't have it because of Vince. But Damage Control is a bit on the cold side right now. But maybe that situation would heat up if Io wins.
Yeah. Riddle's not beating Gunther.
And it wouldn't be interesting if he did.
No. The women's tag titles.
I just don't know where you go from there. Like another rematch or something. I think there's more intrigue if Liv's big return ends with a loss. And then, I don't know, maybe she attacks Raquel because she's like, you're the reason I got injured in the first place.
Yeah.
Which is not true, but you can kayfabe that shit.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
The Doctor has a question. Was it a mistake to bring Punk back and not put him in a singles feud straight away? Collision fell like 300,000 viewers from its debut, and multi-man matches aren't draws historically speaking.
So, no, you go ahead. You can start.
Was it a mistake? Yeah, probably. They should have, if the idea is Joe and Punk through the summer, why not just start that after the 6-man tag on the debut, have Joe attack Punk after the match or something. You can have a brawl. FTR helps him out. You can end the show in a massive brawl. If Joe choking out Punk to end the show, that's a good visual.
It's a good visual.
and
You're
that's
not
intrigue.
You're not in Chicago though. That crowd would be hella cheering for Joe.
No, they were cheering Phil. They were totally behind Phil.
When
In
they were
Chicago.
No, I'm sorry.
saying,
when you're out of Chicago.
No, I'm saying on the debut. If you end the debut.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant the next week.
No,
okay.
No, the debut. The first one, 6-man tag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there's no reason not to kickstart that now. Or then, because then you have the brackets released for the Owen tournament. That's the semifinal match, most likely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. That's a good point. Yeah, I think it probably was. I think the ratings thing is kind of much ado about nothing.
There was going to be a drop regardless, but
there was going to be a drop. It was still the number one. It was still the number one program on Turner, and it only got beat by like a couple of sports things, which is kind of to be expected. Like Saturday's a sports day. So just a hair under 600,000 total viewership, a 0.21 in the demo thing that they pay attention to. I don't know what the floor is going to be. The bottom line is, if it's not compelling television, it's going to drop hardcore, and if they make it compelling. If they go out of their way to make good creative, like we talked about in the first segment, then it'll probably hover between 500 and 700,000. And I'm sure Turner is probably really happy about that. If your number one show on your network on Saturdays continues to be the number one show on your network, you're not going to want to get rid of that. It'll be fine.
Yeah. But yeah, the sooner they get some Phil Punk in a single story, probably the better. But it could be a situation too where it's like, you're just coming back off your second injury in about a year.
Yeah.
Let's ease you back into this with some tag matches. If that's the case, that's the case. Well, then give us some compelling stories outside of CM Punk.
Yeah, hint at some stuff. I mean, I know they're hinting at CM Punk versus Jay White, but they're not hinting at that very well. Jay White seems to be kind of a passenger in this particular feud.
Yeah.
Much like Bryan Danielson's arm on his body.
Yeah, you just won't really want to say that. Kyle here says, I was at both Collision and Forbidden Door in Toronto, and it seemed to me that Punk was expecting boos, but not the amount he got, especially at Forbidden Door. If he continues to get a negative response, do you think he will continue to just roll with it, embrace the role of John Cena in AEW, and be a good guy that gets booed, turn heel and steer into the negativity and turn the crowd, or just get resentful of the response and either quit or cause another brawl out? Based on what we saw at Forbidden Door, I don't think it's going to be the last option. He seemed to relish the opportunity to really play into the crowd response. And it gives him an opportunity to do more than just being kind of boring babyface CM Punk.
I think he'll be I do think that he's going to be the CM Punk version of John Cena. They're going to book him against heels, and I think CM Punk is capable enough, more than capable enough, to roll and improvise and adjust to whatever situation and continue to tell whatever story he wants to continue to tell. I think that the guy is obviously very savvy when it comes to his promos, his wrestling, his interaction with the fans. And I think by doing that, eventually people aren't going to boo him anymore. He's just gonna, that's what it's gonna be like. I think he's gonna be entertaining CM Punk, and I don't think it's gonna matter if he's a good guy, bad guy, or whatever. There are probably some markets that'll maybe always boo him, but I get the feeling that, especially, and I think it would help because the AEW, the hardcore fans, they read the Fightfuls and they watch the Going in Raws. Like, they'll know when fences are mended. I honestly think that there's some of that to it. I mean, I think the people that are booing him think that he's an arrogant prick and how dare he come back, after he talks so much shit about their precious company.
Yeah.
But I think if he mends fences, that'd probably go a long way towards, time. Look, if the dude's entertaining, then nobody's going to give a shit 6 months from now.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. Guardian Ape here asks, has Theory officially entered the realm of the most irrelevant champion in history?
Oh, history, no. Currently, right now?
Maybe.
Currently, without a doubt, right?
He's been on TV in, 3 weeks?
It's been 3 weeks, yeah. Yeah, no, without a doubt right now, yeah, absolutely. He's less relevant than I don't know, name another champion. Name another champion on cable TV.
I mean, they've all been on TV recently, whereas he is not.
Yeah.
Going going through my head here. Yeah, I can't think of anybody who's supposed to be a major champion within a wrestling company that hasn't been on TV like in a month, basically.
Like Ronda and Shayna, they're not disappearing anytime soon.
No.
You know, they're making that whole division relevant.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You can maybe, I don't know. Gallus is more relevant than him, you know, like in terms of within the context of their own programming, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
History. Okay, but I don't know about like super long ago, but Vince really buried a lot of champions. That Intercontinental Championship was irrelevant no matter who had it for the longest time.
Really was.
So
it took forever. Forever, it wasn't even defended on pay-per-view.
I know. Yeah, it was a long time.
Yeah.
So like that whole run of Intercontinental Championship, I'm sorry, that was way more irrelevant than
Theory. I mean, if Theory's not on TV for like 2 months,
then we'll
3 months, and he drops the belt to somebody else, and they're rarely on TV, and then maybe you're talking about a situation where they just have a title they don't really know what to do with.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Who knows? Michael Scalamini, so hopefully got the name right, asks, what is your wrestling moment that got you emotional? Michael says mine is DIY versus Revival, 2 out of 3 falls.
Bianca's reaction to her match with Sasha at WrestleMania.
Yep.
That got me a little misty.
Yep. Same. Kofi winning at Mania 35.
Kofi. That was a really nice moment.
Oh, and Daniel Bryan had to retire.
Yeah, that was rough. That one was rough. I'm trying to remember. I know there's been other ones. But yeah, those are the big ones. Yeah, the Sasha Bianca, when Bianca was, oh, that was good. There was
before the match started,
real nice moment with Zelina in Puerto Rico at Backlash. That was really nice too.
Yeah. Alex Foster here asks, after all this time, can you think of any advantages as a viewer to using Peacock over the WWE Network?
I mean, there's other stuff on Peacock.
Yeah, as a value proposition. Peacock's a better value proposition because getting wrestling content plus a whole bunch of other stuff.
It's Wrestling Plus. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's Wrestling Plus. Like if you want to watch Yellowstone, you can watch Yellowstone on Peacock.
Right, exactly. What was that one with Natasha Lyonne that you didn't like but I liked?
Oh, Poker Face?
Oh, I like Poker Face, yeah.
I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, that's on Peacock. That's good. Night Court, I think, might be on Peacock.
We keep saying that, but I don't know. Like the old Night Court?
Well, the new one is.
Oh, I haven't watched the new one yet.
Neither have I. It didn't look funny. But apparently it was getting really good ratings for a while.
Oh.
Quantum Leap's on Peacock. So, yeah, there's plenty of stuff on Peacock that's not WWE. But, no, by all accounts, Peacock is a lesser service than WWE Network.
The user interface on the network was actually pretty good. Search function was solid. Having the chapters for the matches was great. Man,
that was awesome. Yeah, that was great.
And like the search on Peacock is not good.
No,
there's
sucks.
No chapter breaks any shows. It's pretty lame.
Yeah, it is lame.
So from a user experience, strictly talking about watching wrestling, Peacock is a massive step down from the infrastructure they had on the network.
It is. But if you want to see Quantum Leap, you can't do that on WWE Network. Too. They got movies on Peacock as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Documentaries. As a pure entertainment value proposition, Peacock is better.
Yeah, I agree.
As in terms of the user interface,
garbage. Fart noise.
It's not very good. Justin Sider asks, is it common to say a wrestler should? It's common to say a wrestler should turn heel to shake up their character. What current heels could benefit from a face turn?
Maybe Gunther. People are already really liking Gunther, but he's so dominant. I don't know what the stakes would be against him.
It'd be great for Gunther to turn face so that he wouldn't have to stifle laughter all the time.
Yeah, I know.
You can just tell he wants to laugh and have fun. Let's think of some heels that should.
Austin Theory.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but Austin Theory is the one case. If you watch any WWE social media behind the scenes thing where Austin Theory just gets to be himself. I also saw like a mini documentary where he was talking about like his dad had major substance abuse issues, and it was very, it was real. It was like real stuff. if you look at his stuff in the way, like the more face stuff that he did in the way, it's Austin Theory.
Yeah.
And I really think that there's an opportunity for him because he is such a blank slate right now. Like nobody cares about that guy. And if they found a way to motivate a face turn story-wise that made sense, like if he had a real humbling, I think that, and you just let him be himself, I think that could really work for Austin Theory.
Yeah, it could. It could. Yeah, that's a good answer. I'm trying to think who else. I don't know. I feel like from a storyline perspective, a lot of people who are faces are, more or less booked as they should and vice versa.
Yeah. The only exception I can think of is Santos Escobar. That guy was magnetic as a bad guy. As a good guy, he's lobotomized.
Yeah. Kiddo Hudson here asks, how would you have booked the ending of the NWO storyline? So let's go back to Bash the Beach 96. Who's the third man, brother?
Yeah.
We start there. In 2 minutes, Steve, give me in a nutshell what your NWO story would have been.
Oh, wow. Boy, that's hard. So, okay, this is what I would have done. Everything would have been normal through the Wolfpack up to the finger poke of doom. Everything would have been fine until then. You go up to the finger poke of doom, and instead of you do that match, Hogan versus Nash, is for who gets to control the NWO IP. If you lose that match, you're no longer NWO. There's no more Hollywood. There's no more Wolfpack. So it's the same concept because they conglomerated them.
Yeah.
But whoever loses, they have to disband as a faction. And then I guess, you have Nash win, Hogan and his crew then disband. I don't even remember who was in Hollywood NWO. I remember there was the B team.
Yeah.
But that happened, I think, after the Wolfpack and Hollywood came together. Like Steiner was in Hogan's group.
Yeah.
So Nash is like, yeah, you guys, Nash ends up winning clean over Hogan. Big deal. And then, Hogan has to skulk away. And in comes Double J Jeff Jarrett. Hogan comes to him, says, brother, known you for a long time. I'm feeling real down, brother, because I just lost the one thing that was precious to the Hulkamaniacs, to the Hollywood Maniacs, and that was the NWO. And Jeff Jarrett says, fine, Hogan, I got this. And he approaches Nash. Says, Nash, I want what you have, NWO. Stroke. Jeff Jarrett then reunites the entire NWO under Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
The Jarrett World Order, the Stroke World Order. And then, WCW ends up killing WWE in the ratings.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, did it.
I'll top that. I'll just do Stream of Consciousness, see what comes out.
Good.
So let's go to Starrcade 97.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
Sting wins clean.
Mm-hmm.
No fast count nonsense.
No
Sting wins clean.
Yeah.
So the next Nitro, the NWO, they all get in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And Hogan's making excuses left and right. Why he let the NWO down and lost that title.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, all right, Hulkster, we hear you. We hear you. Guess what? You're out, though.
You're done, son.
So they attack Hogan. Yeah. He's out of the NWO.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash takes over. As much as I love NWO Wolfpack, there's no NWO Wolfpack. It just keeps on being the NWO.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their numbers don't expand to outrageous numbers.
Yeah.
It stays relatively. I know at that point it was a pretty huge group.
I think at that point, man, yeah, it really kicked off. Yeah.
And so maybe to get the numbers of the NWO down, like the core group down to a reasonable amount, Hogan goes to, his former allies in the group. It's like, hey, brother, are you NWO for life, or are you a Hulkamaniac? Oh,
and yeah, Michael Wall Street's like, oh, I'm Hulkamaniac.
Hulkamaniac for life, brother.
Yeah.
And so at first, NWO's like, it's Michael Wall Street. What do we care?
Yeah.
But eventually, it's like Macho Man. Hogan gets Macho Man out.
Big Bubba, he's out.
Now there's a problem.
Yeah.
And so you got the NWO going up against a strong Hulkamania faction.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And fighting for the soul of WCW.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
But guess what? Jackknife powerbomb on Hogan. NWO at Sold Out 98.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that actually makes sense.
Nash power bombs Hogan onto the giant toilet they had there on the set.
Yeah.
NWO runs WCW now. They are in control.
They are in control.
Until
Uh-oh.
Jeff Jarrett.
There you go. See, it all comes back.
Jeff Jarrett
Yeah.
steps up to Nash. The Nitro after Hogan goes through that toilet bowl.
Yeah, right.
And says, listen up, slapnuts.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let this company go the way of the NWO. I've got the stroke around here
Yeah.
to lead WCW into the future.
Into the new era.
And then essentially you tell the Hogan Sting story, but this time it's Jeff Jarrett and Kevin Nash.
That's perfect. That's great. We did it. We did it.
We did
No,
it.
you know
All
what? Honestly, like, I wonder if anybody had the balls over there to actually rebrand WCW as NWO. They really should have done a stretch where, like, they just got rid of the WCW brand in total.
I think Kevin Nash talked about that recently, how it's supposed to be NWO Nitro or something like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they should. They really should have done that.
Yeah, they should.
Honestly, what they really should have done was you keep the NWO as a relatively tight group, like maybe 6 people.
Yeah.
and then you have them in a legitimate feud against the Horsemen.
Yeah.
You know, the old versus the new.
Not just them destroying the Horsemen every time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they just murdered the Horsemen every single time. Like, they'd go into Horseman territory and they'd kill the crowd because they killed the Horsemen.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, you do. I don't know, people didn't know he was going to be a murderer back then, but you do Benoit, Malenko. Maybe you bring in Guerrero. And it doesn't have to be the 4 Horsemen anymore. It can just be the Horsemen. And I know there's the biblical thing where there's 4 of them, but fuck it. It's wrestling. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, maybe you have 6 members of the Horsemen.
Why not?
And Flair steps aside just to be a manager, and you build a youth movement through the Horsemen.
Yeah.
And they're another cool faction, you know?
Yeah. All right, Steve, you ready to lightning round some of these last questions?
Let's get after it.
All right. Ben Estrada just wants to know top 5 favorite Sacramento Kings players.
Boy, I don't know if that's a lightning round. So Jason Williams, Peja Stojakovic. Yeah, you got to go Chris Webber.
Yeah.
Mitch Richmond.
Yeah. Valverde.
That was a funny joke back in the day. And then I got to go with somebody today, Malik Monk. I love that guy.
All right.
He's great.
Oh yeah, Monk's great.
Yeah.
Bobby Jackson.
Oh, great pick. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta go Weber.
Yeah.
I really like De'Aaron Fox.
Oh, I love him. He's so fast.
He is. He's great.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go back to when the early days of the Sacramento Kings. I'll put Mitch Richmond on there for sure.
Oh, The Rock is great. Yeah.
Yeah. First playoff appearance of Sacramento Kings was when Mitch was the best player.
Go Reggie Theus.
No. I was thinking Otis Thorpe.
Otis. Okay. OT. All right. There you go. That's good. That's good. That's a good lineup right there.
Good lineup. Let's see here. Ryan says, if Drew doesn't return on Saturday, do you think it's a good idea? Oh, we kind of talked about this. Have Finn go over on the beat. Seth. Yeah. Yes. Cat Dad 7 says, Steve Larson has a tremendous gambling debt that he can't cover. The only way for him to get out of it is for him to take 10 consecutive bare-chested chops from Gunther. Do you help your friend out?
Help you how?
I guess the idea is that you pay off my debt.
But I thought you were going to get paid by somebody else for taking chops from Walter.
No, that's the alternative. Is my debt will be erased if I take the 10 chops. Will you show mercy and pay off my debt so I don't have to get chopped by Gunther 10 times?
So here's the thing. If this was an Alabama Slam or a power bomb or something else, yes, I would totally save you from that. If this is chops, you wouldn't let me do that. You would just accept them. So there's the answer.
Yeah. I'd be shirtless for like 3 weeks showing off the handprints on my chest. Yes.
Yeah. But like, I wouldn't let you get power bombed. Like, for my own interests, for my own business interests, like, you could get really fucked up. And it's like, I don't want to do that. But I think it'd be good publicity for you to get chops from Gunther.
By Gunther, especially, I know.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
Sup John here asks, LA Knight versus Samoa Joe in a promo battle. Who gets ugly cry face first?
Joe.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible for the character of LA Knight to get cry face.
No, it's not. No.
He's too oblivious.
He is. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Lacks enough self-awareness to realize his feelings have been hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Shavon here says, you guys mentioned many times that the 2016 to 2019 NXT roster was super loaded and the biggest what if in the WWE. Could that roster rival the Attitude Era roster in terms of star power? Let's imagine if NXT roster from that time period went on the main roster and actually had the careers that we thought they could have and should have had.
I mean, you know, when you think about some of the names in there, I mean, you got to add, 2016. When was Joe? Was Joe pre that?
He was in that time frame.
Okay.
I think.
Joe in there.
Nakamura, Alistair.
Yeah, Alistair, Gargano, and Ciampa. Asuka. I mean, then we're just talking about the women here. You look at the women. Oh, my gosh. Attitude Era is lofty.
It is.
I would say if you remove the big guns from the Ruthless Aggression era, like we're talking Cena, Orton, Lesnar, and Batista, if you take them out of it, Ruthless Aggression had a lot. They had a lot of turnover because they tried to bring up a lot of lumps.
Yeah.
Luther Reigns, Snitsky, Heidenreich, and that's just scratching the surface. I would say they would best anybody from any era, minus the biggest names.
Yeah.
But except for the Attitude Era. Come on. The Attitude Era was fucking
the Attitude
epic.
Era had two of the most popular names, not just in WWE history, in the history of wrestling, in Stone Cold and The Rock.
I know. Yeah. Dude, it has one of the biggest names worldwide. It's got the biggest name worldwide right now, and that's Dwayne Johnson.
Yep. Yeah. The C Bastion asks, what could Steven Larson say to Vince to convince him to give up all creative control?
Oh man, there's nothing you can say to that guy. What could I say? What could you say?
I don't think there's anything.
How's he come off like a whiny mark?
I know.
I ain't got nothing.
God damn it, pal! Don't you have a podcast to do?
Right, exactly. Focus on yourself.
I know. Juan Villa, says, since Larson doesn't want Steve's celebrity impersonator friends, which are top notch, can we get Larson to do the Daniel Garcia dance at the end of the shows?
I mean,
I don't mind doing the dance.
If you want that as a trade, you get to do the dance. I get to put on the celebrity impersonators.
No.
Right? No, it's not.
No,
you get
not
to do the dance.
Here.
No impersonators.
No, I think the deal is if we don't get the dance, if we don't get the impersonators, then I do the dance.
No, I don't want that.
That's the deal.
I don't care about the dance. I care about the impersonators. Everybody loves the impersonators. They're literally in my DMs.
Not everybody does. That's the issue.
They're in the DMs. Well, one person doesn't, and I'm looking at them right now.
It's kind of an important person.
You just called yourself an important person. Wow.
In terms of the show, I'm a kind of an important person.
What an ego on
In
you.
the scope of the world, no, I don't matter. In terms of this show, yes, I'm an important person. I'm one of the co-hosts.
They're in the DMs. You got to give the people what they want.
All right, Excalibur. Dick Dunn.
You are merely a passenger on Going in Raw.
Oh wow, I have no bearing. Wow. Dick Dunn, what do you think about LA Knight winning Money in the Bank and having an extended program with Roman? Not in the cards for
Not in the cards. I'd love to see it.
No,
not in the cards, but I'd love to see it.
Let's see here. Bucket Dipper. You have to create a Going in Raw stable, but you can only choose 3 of the 5 following wrestlers. Who do you choose? The wrestlers are Von Wagner. Hey. LA Knight. Yeah.
Nah.
Baron Corbin. Dom Mysterio. Sid.
So we can only choose 3 of those 5?
3 of the 5.
All right. I would go. Dom's already in a really good faction. Wouldn't use him. I would go LA Knight. Von Wagner, Baron Corbin. If I'm given the book, I'm going to book Baron Corbin the way he should be booked. I'm gonna let that guy. I'm gonna give him like some actual fucking things to do, which he's never had before since bum ass Corbin.
I'm going Sid, of course.
Of course.
Sid, LA Knight.
Yeah.
And then Dom Mysterio.
You're not going to go with Von Wagner and have him and Sid be like the new skyscrapers? Von Wagner, Sid.
No, I'm not doing that. Von and Sid will be skyscrapers.
That's what I just said, Von Wagner. Oh, Dom,
sorry, I did pick Von. Dom and Sid will be skyscrapers.
Dom's not that tall, though.
But Dom will be like, look at me. I'm 6'10".
You notice Darby wears lifts now?
Yeah.
Because I was like, the other day, I was like, he's not as tall as, who is he in a promo with? Jericho. I'm like, he's not as tall as Jericho.
Yeah, I know.
And then I looked at his shoes and I'm like, oh man, that's a smart move.
Yeah.
Makes him look taller.
It does make him taller. I know. Let me find one more. Let's do this. This could be good lightning round stuff. Overrated versus underrated.
Okay.
This is from Carlos Diaz. Wrestling streaks. What's an overrated wrestling streak? What's an underrated one?
An overrated wrestling streak?
Let me ask you this. Is Undertaker's WrestleMania winning streak that important when it's scripted?
Within the context of the story, yeah. Within the context of the story, it is. Although I think they went 17 years before they even realized there was a streak.
I know. I know.
Yeah. Or at least it was 10 years and they were like, oh, yeah, okay.
Something we can actually book a story around.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And then every year after that, they were like, ooh, should it be this year? Should A-Train beat Undertaker?
Yeah, I know.
Not a chance. Not going to happen.
I kind of felt like since he should have retired. I mean, this is his career and he can do what he wants, but I felt like if he had retired at the end of an era, done. Great.
I've got it.
What?
An overrated streak. Bruno's 8-year reign.
Wow.
Bro, it's a different time.
It is a different
8
time.
years might as well be 6 months back then. What was the schedule? I know he probably wrestled 7 times a week, but
yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure there's it was just a lot less. I don't know. It just wasn't the same as it is now. 8 years back then was probably just as good as 2 years now. You know what 8 years meant? 8 years, they couldn't come up with a compelling idea for anybody else. That's what that shit meant.
Could be.
Bob Backlund for 5 years. Tell me, look, here's the thing. They had to do Bob Backlund for 5 years. Bob Backlund for 5 fucking years, and people are complaining about one of the greatest. I'm sorry, from a character standpoint, Roman Reigns right now is one of the most compelling things I've ever seen. Yeah. And they had Backlund mumbling his way through promos for fucking 5 years.
I know.
It probably was not that different with Bruno for 8 years. Yeah. Mumbling his way through promos, probably the same 6 moves in a match.
Yeah. NWO. So who's the most overrated member of the NWO and the most underrated?
Most overrated member of the NWO? I don't know. It's probably the most overrated and underrated is probably Buff Bagwell. It's probably both. Because he was entertaining, but he was nothing I don't know.
Overrated is Hogan.
Yeah, I know, but Hogan was a sea change. He was.
I know, man. But then it
think about anybody else joining the NWO in that third man place.
I'm saying as that initial moment, yeah, it was huge, but then everything became about Hogan shortly thereafter. And then it was all right, it's not about the NWO so much as it's about Hogan.
Yeah.
Underrated, Scott Norton.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Overrated and underrated comedy gimmicks.
I hate to say this because maybe he's a good guy. I don't know. I never laughed at Santino.
I was about to say Santino as well.
I never thought he was funny. So kind of overrated. It's funny because I actually think the funny thing about Santino is that I think that performer could have I think he had the camera charisma and the comedic chops to go to be in a sitcom. Yeah. I think he really could have succeeded as a comedian.
Yeah.
But just nothing he did in WWE ever made me laugh. I never thought it was funny.
Especially in his role as authority figure and Impact. It just, I don't know. It just didn't seem to fit tonally with what the show was.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Just didn't.
Yeah.
All right. Underrated comedy gimmick.
Moppy. Perry Saturn and Moppy.
Yeah.
I think that dude ran with that shit.
He did. Got it over.
He absolutely ran.
Got it over.
Yeah.
Is it possible that Orange Cassidy's gimmick is still somewhat underrated? I think people focus on the comedy aspects and don't focus on what a damn good wrestler and storyteller he is.
I think you're right. Yeah. I think you're right. You know, one sentiment I wonder if it's like oddly like low key underrated because people don't talk about how he I have not seen very much sentiment online. People saying that he is stale.
Yeah.
And I thought that'd be like an easy knock on him.
I know.
But I wonder if it's because he isn't. You know what I mean? Like that's just not something that enters people's minds.
All right, we'll end with this one. Overrated and underrated match ratings. What's a match you think that the rating is too high, and what's a match you think the rating is too low?
Oh, I think the whole Shawn Michaels Undertaker that got 4.5 or 4 3/4. I think that should have been obviously
the
5
second
stars.
one.
Yeah. That should have been 5 stars easily.
Oh, no, the first one. The first one didn't get 5 stars, I think.
Whatever the better
Neither
one
of them got 5 stars, but
neither of them got 5 stars. But
I guess
only
depends
got
what
4
you consider the
3/4.
best of the two. Yeah,
I think there was one that
should have got 5 stars.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. A lot of those WWE matches, like, come on, it's 5 stars. Give me a break.
I know.
Overrated? Oh, I don't know. What did he give something 7 stars?
Was it Kenny and Okada?
Did Kenny Okada 4 get 7?
I think so.
Or
one where
just
Kenny
get, like,
finally
6?
won.
If anything got 7 stars and just like leapfrog 6 and 6.5 or whatever, then your scale kind of doesn't mean a whole lot. Yeah.
Great match, though.
Did that get 7, Matt? Just 7 stars?
So. I think it did.
Okada Omega 7 stars. I'm just going to put this in here. The highest ever rating is 7 stars awarded to Okada versus Omega at Dominion.
Yeah.
No.
You think 5 1/4 is more appropriate for that one, Steve?
I'm just saying, was it a full star better than their first match? Because the first one got 6, didn't it?
I think so, yeah.
I think the first one got 6, the one that we saw at Wrestle Kingdom.
And then the time limit draw one got 6.5, I think. And then the Dominion one got 7.
That one didn't even have a winner.
It's true. How could it be better than one that someone actually won it?
Right, exactly.
So if anything, that match is overrated.
That's a good point. Yeah, that should have gotten like 3 1/4. No winner.
Steve's words, not mine.
Hey, guess what? It went too long. No winner. 3 1/4.
Steve said dud. Oh, 3
Hey,
1/4.
man. Hey, I want on some of this controversy that you're generating in our star ratings.
I'm not trying to generate controversy. I'm just trying to be real with my feelings.
Oh, man. I want a piece of that controversy.
All
so,
right,
yeah,
have
there
at
you
it.
go. There you go. I like it. Anyways, that's going to do it for Ask Stephen Larson. Thanks, everybody, for chipping in your questions. If you want your question answered here on the show, hit us up on the Patreon, patreon.com/Stephen Larson, or by clicking join on the YouTube at youtube.com/Stephen Larson. Thanks for joining us. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.